Welcome to the Alberton Front Bar. Hopefully no technical issues today. I'm Al. I'm joined by Marchie and Phil, and we'll be discussing all things Port Adelaide, including the GWS game, the China game, being in doubt, and some knobs that wear Port Adelaide Guernseys that have no idea. So, let's go. Welcome,
Hello,
boys.
Al. Hello, Marchie.
G'day, how are you guys? All right?
Good.
Doing well.
Foxy, just no show again.
Oh, never. He never shows. He's all good.
he doesn't even tell us now. He just doesn't rock up.
He's been taken off the bio on the Twitter page as well, the old Fox.
I reckon he's done. What do you reckon?
I reckon he's done. I
Never
think he's probably got...
Never to be seen again.
He's gone.
So how do you find the weekend's game, boys?
Disappointing.
Look, I'd had a couple of beers and I was all right with it. And then I reflected on it a bit later and got a bit angry. No, it was a decent effort, and then that last quarter was insipid. There was no fight, there was nothing, and it turned out what could have been a really good victory, or at least a game that they would have taken some sort of confidence out. I think that's probably that last quarter would have dropped a bit of confidence for the next few weeks.
My feel is that we lost it at the selection table. Cleary, Jonas, massively undersized against Patton and Cameron. Cameron obviously didn't have the impact that we thought he would, but Patton, he's a gorilla, and you got a bloke who's 5-10 centimetres shorter than him standing in for the whole game. I thought Cleary did a decent job, but he was just outmatched. And Trengove did a great job in the ruck again, as we talked about all last year. Honourable in the ruck and whatever, but we were just left wanting again. So I think in that tall department, we've got some work to do, because people, Logan Austin should have probably played. He was a travelling emergency and didn't play any footy at all last week. If he's not ready, then so be it. But he's a travelling emergency. He played the week before. He should be playing. He should have played in that side. So I know what they were trying to do is run them off their feet. But blokes like Matt White that came into the side. I haven't even looked at his numbers, but you can always notice when he gets the ball, and I reckon I noticed him about 5 times for the whole day.
Yeah.
No, he was terrible, absolutely terrible. And he did no two-way running. Like, there was no. He's supposed to be a runner, and I was at the game, and you could see he just kind of would sit on the flanks, waiting, ball watching, then making an opportunity. Like, when he saw the ball was coming into his vicinity, he would then. So he wasn't fit enough to be playing AFL footy.
He looked very underdone.
Yeah, and look, the bottom line is he hadn't earned his place in the team. I think that was a pretty frustrating selection. I would like to have seen him, earn his spot, play a few good games for the Maggies, and show that he deserves to be in the team. Because at the moment, I think he's a borderline player, if that. But he just seemed to walk straight back in, which I thought was a bit confusing myself.
Look, I was probably fairly critical, last year when we re-signed him after he hadn't played barely for 2 years. I'll probably stand behind that, because at the end of the day, I don't think he's shown enough to even be on the list, let alone be picked. But I'm willing to be proven wrong at all times, because when he's at his best, he's in the best 22. But on the weekend, he looked miles off.
Well, I was expecting.
Well, he hasn't played for a year. From an AFL perspective, he doesn't have. He hasn't played for so long, and he's a great impact player when he's on. But he had, as far as I'm concerned, he'd done nothing to earn that spot in the team. He should have built some form in the SANFL before he was considered. Make him earn it, and I think he was given a bit of a gold pass, to be honest.
Well, I was expecting prior to the game, I looked at the weather here in Canberra. There was no rain. It was clear skies. I was expecting Logan Austin to actually get the call up, and for White to be a lay out, but it just didn't happen, and I was really, really surprised. And I was at the pre-match, and I said that to some of the guys that were there, and they were like, "Yep," they expected the same. Even Port officials were thinking that maybe happened, but a lot of the people before the game were like, "In can we trust?" And it didn't show that on the weekend, so that was pretty disappointing, really. And I think that we were way too short down back with people like Rory Lobb, Jonathan Patton, and Cameron. We were way too short, and even Portia's made a comment here on the Spreaker chat. She's like, Clory's playing now reminds her of when Zach Dawson started playing at Hawthorn, and he was set up to be smashed out of the league by the number one forward, like when he played on, I think it was Travis Cloak or something like that back in the day, and he got absolutely destroyed. And that's what Clory's like. Like, he does try, and he runs hard, and he competes like a beast, but he's just not that big.
If you're not big enough, you're not big enough, are you? At the end of the day, size does come into it. And the feeling that I had before the game was very much like that Ken just went, you know what, stuff it, we'll try and play small ball. But last time I checked, it's not the NBA, and last time I checked, you don't get 9 points for kicking it from outside 50. That whole small ball attitude, I don't think works. And that's kind of what we went with. We had Dixie, we had Westhoff, and Trengove, undersized, big, in the ruck. He should have been playing down back as well. Like Frampton, if he's not ready, he's not ready. But at the end of the day, it's got to come to a point in time where you got to give the kid a crack.
Well, I'm looking at it, and
he's big enough.
Yeah, he is big enough, but I just don't know whether we've got the type of mongrel to play in the ruck. Like, Charlie went into the ruck for a little bit and did well. Like, I thought, but then you're robbing Peter to play ball like you are with Trengove down back, etc. Because, we were just too small. And let's be honest, we went small ball on the weekend and we kept up to them for 3 quarters. They then had a couple of guys injured, and we were playing smaller than them, and they outran us.
Yeah, that's the disappointing thing.
On the weekend, we were like witches' hats in that fourth quarter. There was no run, there was no carry, there was no desire. That's what disappointed me the most. Because last time we played GWS in Canberra, the game was done by halfway through the second quarter. Basically, I knew the game was over. On the weekend, like, that game was a good contest until the third quarter, and we're supposed to be this team that will overrun people and be able to sit there and run over the top of them in that fourth. And we got absolutely obliterated. And they were down to like one on the bench on the weekend. And we got out coached. They put Heath bloody Shaw, the biggest knob in the world, forward. And he actually contributed and did a lot of good stuff up there. So like my view in that fourth quarter, Ken got out coached and we didn't work hard enough. We played.
Yeah, but the big blokes don't get any shorter either, do they? They always say that, The longer the game goes, the big blokes don't get any shorter. They still had Lobb. They still had Patton. Patton, I reckon he kicked 3 in the last quarter.
Patton, 3 in the last quarter.
Possibly. Hey, just on Rory Lobb, is it just me, or does he look like that dude from Back to the Future? No, dead set.
I hadn't really thought about it. Are you talking about Marty McFly's dad? George
McFly? 100%. He looks exactly like him. But anyway, back to that.
He does also look like my old cricket coach, Gary Chillingworth. So, absolute dead ringer.
And so we'll go with the Back to the Future, dude.
Yeah, cool.
Cool. What was the atmosphere like at the game, Al? Was there a bit of support for Port Adelaide there?
There was actually, it's probably the only ground that I've been at where you could actually hear power more than Giants. There was actually a fairly good Port Adelaide contingent that did come over and support the boys. But, the Giant supporters aren't really Giant supporters as a general rule. They're more like, I support Hawthorn, Carlton, Collingwood. But when there's footy there and my team's not playing, I'll support the Giants. So that's kind of what it is. It's like their second team, so they're not really passionate about their football club. So it is pretty quiet. It got a bit rowdy and they started to get a bit raucous towards the end of that fourth quarter. But the atmosphere at Manuka Oval is pretty shit. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's absolutely shit. And you're not going to get any fired up footy fans. I was sitting there on the weekend, right up against the boundary, and we were eating pizza, and what's his name, David King's like sniffing, and he wants somebody, doesn't want to drop any on his shirt because he'll have to do his next cross. Like, I could sit there and talk to them, and they were fine with it. But yeah, it was a really weird atmosphere on the weekend, and the poor Giants, they're going to be this powerhouse, but they really have very little support. It's quite
No,
strange.
they've little support now, but wait till they, they win a premiership or two, and I'm sure that support will go up there. You look at, Brisbane a few years back, they'll get the support. They will get the support, and we'll hate them.
Yeah, well, I told my daughter, like, she goes, I want to be a Giants fan because, like, they come to the school. And I'm like, that ain't happening, love. I said, you can sit there and move out into the street if that's going to start being who you're going to support, because Port Adelaide's the only team to support in this household. So,
well, what do you do if one of your kids says around they're like adamant that they're going to support another football club? Do you disown them, or no?
Probably.
Is she a Green Bay Packers supporter though?
I haven't really discussed college football or American football with her, because there's more AFL when it comes to football. So that's what I probably discuss with her and tell her that she has to support. But yeah, when it comes to footy, I think I'd be pretty adamant that you have to support the greatest team in the world.
Well, what about my son at the footy hour? You're getting stuck into him a bit, weren't you, about what he was yelling out every 5 seconds?
Yes. Yes, he was referencing us as Port Power, which
Port Power, go Port Power.
And I'm like,
no.
It's go the Power or go Port Adelaide. And I was trying.
It's pretty frustrating, man. Like, he's 8 years old. I'm just sitting there, like, I'm embarrassed by it. I'm like, mate, nah, cut that out now. And then Al's going to wallop. No, but you should only have to correct him once, Al, and then that should be fine.
I think it was about 5 times. I was getting a little frustrated with it.
Don't worry, we have the same argument in my house, Phil. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. And she's 10 and a half and still won't change. And I think she just does it to infuriate me, to be honest.
Al was getting a bit fired up. It's like, mate, back off. It's my son. Just relax.
And he's
got the backhand up, and it's like, mate, he'd still take you, Al. He would take
He's
you.
8.
That's right.
Porsche, get the kid a Port Power cap. That'd be potentially worth a bit now, wouldn't they? The old Port Power.
Yeah, not a big fan of those caps, but that's all right. But so who do you?
Yeah. So look, sorry. Do you take any like? If you're Port Adelaide right now, the footy club, are you taking positives out of that game, or did that last quarter just undo everything that was positive leading up to that?
I think you have to, don't you? Like where the boys have been the last 2 years, psychologically, I think you've got to try and take the positives out of it that they kept with them for such a period of time.
Mm. Look, it was, to put it in context, we're 2-2 now. This game, Carlton are kind of scary in a way, like, because realistically, we should smash them on Friday. We should beat that. I'd be disappointed at this stage right now with anything less than a 9-10 goal victory.
But the thing is, the last 2 years we're supposed to smash them and they've beaten us.
I know. I'm scared that
exactly.
I'm halfway through the last quarter and just go, I don't care, man. I just want to win by a point. Like, which happens often. Like, I want a nice Freo style victory that we had a few weeks ago. Just relax, have a few beers. I've got a week off work next week. Lead into that annual leave and just, well, not really annual leave. I'm between jobs. So I'm unemployed. I'm not between jobs. I'm starting another job in a week. But irrespective of that, I just want to have a good with a nice win, because then I can read the Saturday. I'll buy the Advertiser on Saturday. I'll buy the Sunday Mail, and I know people like Crowbatizer and stuff like that. But I just want to watch all the footy shows and enjoy myself. That's what I want. So I want at least 84-point victory.
I'm nervous because they beat us last year, and we're all over them. What? Someone correct me here, but I think we're 17 points up with 5 minutes to play.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
we'll go with that.
And then just caved.
But
that's the scary thing.
But the thing is,
the thing
on the weekend was like there were so many players that kind of underperformed in respect to what they've been doing so far this year.
Mhm.
Like,
Yep.
you've got Sam Pelpepper, who people have got this big expectations. He was going to hit a wall. You can't all be like Ollie Wines and play consistent footy through basically the entire year. And so he's come out and done really well the first couple of weeks, and he's kind of dropped off. People are talking about potentially resting him. That might be appropriate. I'm not sure. But the people like Chad Wingard had a really down game. Like, he only had 14 touches and he couldn't kick anything. Like, he had really Chad sodas and he just didn't get it done. And like, Aaron Young had a really poor game. Jared Pollock had a really poor game.
Aaron Young, you almost didn't even see him for the first, I reckon, 3 quarters. Or he rocked. Oh, he's playing. Like, he was very, very quiet.
And like, people.
But that then tells you if we're in it for 3 quarters,
yep,
and you've just listed all those blokes who've barely touched it, there's the positives, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. You get them firing the way they have been. We've got a pretty good football club, I reckon, and I don't know, like, it's 2-2 at the start of the year. You would have probably taken that, I reckon.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's just a matter of how we go from here, and hopefully, we get a good win against Carlton, get some confidence up, and take it from there.
Well, like,
no, you go, Al. Sorry, mate.
I was just going to talk about like Dan Houston's first quarter. Like, he had 12 touches, basically had the ball on the string, and then the rest of the game he had 7 touches for the rest of the game. But he was really impressive in that first quarter, and I really liked what he kind of added to the team. And like, Jasper Pirata was having a bit of a joke about that, but like, he added a lot of run and decision making off that back flank. So yeah, he added stuff for us. But yeah, there was a lot of guys that didn't have the greatest of games and really hurt us, because we need those consistent performances.
Yeah.
And we also need 4-quarter performances from the team. You can't win games regularly without 4-quarter performances, and we just didn't do that. We played 3 quarters.
So what changes happened this week? Obviously, Ryder comes back in, but who are the full people for it? Like, I think
Matty
we
White.
need to. Yep. Okay.
Pal
what about
Pepper,
Pal Pepper?
Yeah,
It'll be interesting if Matty White gets dropped, though. Because, like, he didn't, as far as I'm concerned, he didn't earn his place. Does he get that extra week that probably some other players that you think, younger players deserve a bit more? Or do they just...
But he did that last year, like with Dougal Howard and whatnot, playing one game and then dropping the next. So Matt White shouldn't be exempt from that. He should be in the firing line. Because at the end of the day, we've got pressure on midfield spots.
As far as I'm concerned, Matt White goes out, but does he? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily think he'll get dropped.
I'm going to sound absolutely ridiculous, but if he goes out, he'll never play for Port Adelaide again.
Yeah, that's a big call.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like a massive call, but yeah, no, I don't agree. So Ryan said White, Gray, Amon out. I think, as far as I'm concerned, like, I love Sam Gray, but yeah, he's out for me.
Yep. And the other thing is that, like, Amon, like people are talking about, like, can we play Impey and Amon in the same team? Like, can we play Impey and Amon in the same team? Like, there's talk that they're too like they're too similar, and so by having them both in the side, can we carry 2 of those types of players? I'm not saying carry.
I'd have Impey in front of Amon every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Yeah. Oh no, I 100% agree, but like, they are making references that they're a similar type player. And
well, you definitely can't have Amon, Impey, and Matt White in the same team, and Polak.
Yeah.
How about Cracker? Is he going to be back soon, you reckon? Because up until his suspension, you would have assumed him to have almost been a walk-up start in the team. And
yeah, but Houston's got his spot now, hasn't he?
Yeah. How about Brett Eddy? Does he come back in?
He didn't really set the world alight when he was playing against Norwood on the weekend. So,
well, he still kicked 3 though, didn't he?
Yeah, he kicked 3.
And that's
I don't know.
I think our forward line looks better with him in it. So I reckon you bring Eddie and Ryder in, but then you've got to find 2 outs. So one is Matt White. Who's your second out?
Eamon or Gray?
Gray.
Eamon.
Gray. Gray's just he's frustrating me at the moment. I'd drop Gray, to be honest.
He doesn't kill you with his disposal. Like, he doesn't kill a team with his disposal. Like, he does rack it up sometimes, and like he does get a few touches, but his touches aren't like difference makers, if you know what I mean. Like, they're not going to sit there and change the course of the game. Whereas like Ollie Wines will go out there and he'll bull through and get that clearance, or like a Robbie Gray does. Whereas Sam Gray can like accumulate touches, kind of like Kane Corns did. Like, let's be honest with you, Kane Corns got lots of numbers, but he didn't really hurt anybody with his disposal at all. So
look, you compare if Kane Corns got 35 touches, there was a fair chance you didn't realise if you were at the game that he had 35. And if Sean Burgoyne got 35 touches, he's BOG. He's had one of the greatest games of the year. Like, so, absolutely agree.
So, yeah, and I think that's what my view of Sam Gray is. So, I think that we can afford for him to step out of the side and not lose as much. So, yeah, that's... But then, and then the other option is, like, bringing out Valpepper. And if that's giving him a week off or what have you, like...
It's early in the year. See, I don't. He had a quiet game, but I don't think it's a good message to send to drop him right now.
He's already played 7 games. Like, he played all the preseason, so he's played 7 games.
But if he was a senior player, you wouldn't be dropping him right now, would you?
No.
I reckon you give him a couple more weeks, and look, he'll need a rest at some point, I reckon. But I don't think it's the right message right now, personally, to rest.
This is a good segue into our next topic, but when do we play in China? What is it, 2-3 weeks?
I think it's May the 9th or something like that, the China game.
Same day as Mother's Day, isn't it? 14th? 15th? Yeah.
According to my son, it's May 1000 in the background. So,
is that the Port Power son?
No, that's not the Port Power son. That's the other one. That one's 8, so I'd be pretty disappointed if he thought there was a May 1000. There'd be a bit of an issue there. But yeah, so what were we talking about? We were talking about China.
China and like Sam Pepper and whether like we rest him and how that will impact it, because like as Portia's just said, SPP only had 66% game time this week, and Impio had one.
Well, there you go.
And with 74%. So,
well, there you go.
There's other people that think he should keep on going a bit longer. Like Ryan's piped up into the Spreaker chat and said he should probably get a bit more of an opportunity. And I'm not against it. I'm just saying that if it continues, like if he keeps on like dropping off in form, well, then that might have to be an option. But
absolutely. But you give him, he's shown enough and he's done enough in the first few weeks. Unless he's feeling it and he's struggling, which I don't think he would this early in the year, you keep him going. If his form in a few weeks doesn't warrant his selection, fair enough. But right now, like I said, I don't think it's the right message to send to get rid of him. So back to China. While we're talking about China, is that what was your segue? You said there's a segue that you're going to
China.
Have a topic. Yeah. So are we talking about the rumours that it might not be happening?
Yeah.
What I've read today, and the club brought out a statement not so long ago, probably in the last hour or so, saying emphatically that it's going ahead unless pretty much World War III breaks out. That's the only reason that it won't go ahead. So, I think that they also came out and said, the club said that the booking of Metricon, which has now come to light, was actually done over 12 months ago. just as a backup, just in case they couldn't get the ground up, as an example, let alone anything else. So that's always there as the backup plan, and it has been from day dot. I think it probably goes ahead, to be honest.
I think the bottom... Look, I didn't hear the interview with KT, which it seemed to have stemmed from, but, I've read the stuff online. It's probably, as far as I'm concerned, it's probably a journalist just saying if there's still political unrest and it's not safe, would the game be going ahead? They probably said, nah. We've got Metricon as a backup. Fair enough. There needs to be that backup plan in case something happens, but, I don't think it's going to be an issue. But then again, I've got no idea about the wars or any of that stuff. But yeah, I think it should be fine. I'm not going anymore though, guys. I was going to go, but yeah, unfortunately not anymore. And you're thinking about going to the game as well, weren't you, Al, at some point?
Yeah, I was, and then I just ended up that it just wasn't going to be logistically possible for me.
Yeah.
Trying to get from Canberra to Sydney and then trying to meet up with my brother. My brother is going. He's booked all his flights. He's just organising his visas this week. But he's got his tickets all sorted and he's pretty excited. And we've got some family over in China, so that should be good. So
I think it will be exciting.
I reckon it'll be great to see our club go internationally, to go, promote our brand and promote the game of AFL football to people that aren't really au fait with it, and that's great. And if there's business opportunity and corporate sponsorship that the club can garner from trying to go out to China, all the better, because we want to be as strong as possible. So,
well, I heard an interview with KT probably a week and a bit ago, and he actually said that the game's costing the club $4 million, but it's completely funded. Like, they found all the funding through playing in China to float it, to float the $4 million that they need to actually play over there, which, if you think about where we were as a club no more than 3-4 years ago, it's phenomenal how far we've come in that sort of space, that we can actually float and bankroll a game in China that's going to cost us $4 million, and it doesn't even touch our bottom line. Don't even blink, which is phenomenal. So, I'm excited about it, and as a club and the opportunity. So hopefully it still goes ahead.
Because Porsche's just said that if the US and China have diplomatic stuff going on, China will be more eager to have the game, and particularly with Trump already giving Turnbull a serve. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out, and it'll be good to see how we're going to move forward with it. So, I think that if it does go ahead, and I think it will, it'll be a big boon for the club, and it'll be interesting to see how we go doing it mid-season. So,
how do we so we've got to buy the following week, but what sort of impact do you reckon that's going to have on the club? Do you reckon it's going to have an impact on our legs leading into the rest of the season, or do you reckon it's just cool, you take the week off and you're good to go?
Well, how far's the flight?
I reckon it's because we booked flights and then we ended up cancelling it. It's a reasonable flight, I reckon.
I think it's about 9 hours or something.
Maybe 8, something like that.
Is that on China South, or is that on Cathay Pacific?
No, I went we went the Crow sponsors. They weren't Crow sponsors at the time, though, in fairness. And we cancelled it anyway, so in your face. But, yeah, that was Southern China Airlines, I reckon.
Didn't they also used to be Melbourne's sponsor?
Oh.
Anyway, let's not get into that.
Don't know. But, yeah, so hopefully it all goes ahead. Because they're talking about doing this every year, aren't they, for quite some time, from what Koshi sort of indicated. Has anything happened with the whole Guernsey debacle? Has there been an answer?
Red. They're still wearing red.
But because Koshi was nah, stuff you. If you don't do it, we're not. You won't be playing any more games. And then the president of the Suns was like, "Well, I didn't know that you made the fixture, Koshi." And then it just sort of died.
It'll just mean that they won't go next time, won't it? Really?
Yeah. I don't really see what the big deal is, to be honest. But, at the end of the day, Port have bankrolled it. They've done whatever, so I understand that they're trying to push it. But
China, with the Suns' home strip and colours are pretty strong in the Chinese culture. So, like that, having that red, which is similar to the flag, will probably get more people interested in the team red. Like they'll have more recognition with that club straight away, rather than a black club. So I suppose when we were doing that and negotiating with the Gold Coast, because the Gold Coast see opportunities for that, for tourism in China and stuff like that. So they're seeing that opportunity, and Port Adelaide just will not offer that in the future, and they've made that decision.
Yeah, but so there was conjecture though that it was in the contract that Gold Coast would be wearing their away strip.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Nothing's been confirmed.
I think they thought about putting it in the contract, but someone forgot to, and sent them the first.
You'd be spewing, wouldn't you?
No,
I'm sure it was there, man. Like this.
Sent them the first draft, and they've signed it and sent it back, and it's like, oh, geez, we forgot to put that bit in. Sorry, guys. that person no longer works at the club. So,
oh, that's awesome.
Bevan's just said that someone quietly and rightly told Koshi to shut up about the jumper, not an issue, until he started banging on about it. And then Ryan said we were negligent on two fronts. Firstly, choosing the Suns. Then we would have, we should have neglected. We've neglected to put it in the contract. So
how are we negligent taking Gold Coast? Like, how's that negligent? I don't quite understand that.
They're the Gold Coast Suns, and the Guernsey colour.
No, like the negligent thing is not putting in the contract about the Guernsey. I wouldn't necessarily suggest the colours. I mean the club itself.
But was that even Port's choice? I don't like. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have been us that chose it. It would have been the AFL.
Yeah, and that's what.
Well, there was two or three. Yeah. There was two or three on the table. So Porsche's saying that the AFL basically said, well, out of those three, you'll be taking that one.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It makes sense. Like, Gold Coast,
at the end of the day...
Have you been to the Gold Coast?
Yep.
Like, how many Japanese, Chinese tourists you see there?
Oh, there was a few. Me and Phil went and watched Port play the Gold Coast.
Oh, we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
That we did. That was...
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years back. So, yes. Well, there you go. So, hopefully that will still be going on. Okay, let's talk about... Has everyone seen that article about that Muppet with the swastika and the Port Guernsey?
I think the thing is, if you go and buy a Guernsey at Savers, doesn't mean that you're a supporter of a club. You know, how many people you see walking around the streets in NBA jerseys who, if you said to them, oh, how was Shaq on the weekend? They'd be like, who?
The thing that frustrates me, right, is someone obviously an absolute idiot who's worn it. Whatever, though. Like, the bottom line is, if it was just a dude walking around with a swastika on his arm, it's not a news story. Was it turned into Port Adelaide fan with swastika? Yada, yada.
Do you know how many people like walking the streets in certain suburbs in Adelaide that you see with that sort of paraphernalia on?
Oh, look, I'll be honest, I've never seen someone with a swastika myself that I can recall. But
I saw one last week in Norwood. Yeah.
You should have chucked a crow's Guernsey on him, taken a photo and sent it to me. Here you go, mate. Some free clothes. There's obviously some issues with your head. We'll give you some free clothes. Yeah, just let me take a photo. That's all I'm asking. But
like, it wasn't an armband; it was a T-shirt. But yeah,
but why is that a bloody story? Like Port Adelaide supporter, and they're talking about, potentially banning the. It's a random dude with a bloody Guernsey and a swastika.
Do you know what's frustrating is a guy in Melbourne posted it on Twitter to Mark Robinson. And he's retweeted saying, "Who's the club?"
It's not the club. That's if it was a Port player. Cool.
Sorry, I take that back. What game was this at? He's tweeted the bloke back. But, like, the thing is, he's buying into the whole... Like, his article about Port Adelaide last week was bordering on disgusting... And someone should burn his house down.
Bevan just said mental issues, so Channel 7 will have a half-hour special about this. That yeah, those bloody idiots that they had on TV. You shouldn't be giving them any time. Why fuel the fire? Like
it's a Facebook status,
it's
right?
so frustrating. Though.
It's a Facebook status.
You want to talk about racism, and you want to, how it must feel for Eddie Betts and Paddy Ryder and stuff. And I haven't experienced it, but so I don't know. But from what I understand, it's a something that really hits home with them and hurts their feelings or what have you. Why give the time of day to these muppets? Just bloody don't talk about it. They had that interview with those two bloody idiots, made up and had to make it very clear that they're Port supporters. How is that an article on the news?
Ask them if they know 5 players that play in the team.
But that's the point. But you're talking about how hurtful it must be for Eddie Betts and stuff. Yet you do a 15-minute article with these people that obviously do have mental issues, or they're from a lower demographic of society. Let's be honest. Why give them the time and inflame it even more for someone like Eddie Betts? Don't give them the time of day. I don't get it. Frustrating. It's ridiculous. And the bottom line is you have idiot supporters in every single club, every club. And, you have that video about the fight that happened at the ground. Now, I don't know who was at fault, the Port supporter or the Crow supporter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Whoever was at fault, they're an idiot. Doesn't matter what supporter base they were. You're talking 53,000 people. If you've got a couple of idiots, who cares? Like, there's idiot Crow supporters, more idiot Crow supporters than Port supporters. But, just for different reasons. But, you can't have, if a drunk Crow supporter punches someone, that's not a reflection on the Crow supporter base. It's a reflection on that idiot that happens to be a Crow supporter.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
These idiots that are just straight away, it's a Port issue. It's the Crows issue. No, it's not. It's an issue with the idiot who did it. It doesn't matter who they supported.
I know that Al's waiting to jump in here, but the thing is, the phenomenal stuff that the club does around Indigenous programs, etc., none of that gets presented to the media, does it? The stuff that we do in the Indigenous communities, etc., none of it. But what gets projected in the media is some dickhead that put on Facebook who's probably never been to a game, doesn't know who's who in the team, and they've said, oh, no, we support Port Adelaide. Well, let's be real about it. We don't want racism around the club. We don't support it. We don't provoke it in any way. And that's what it is. Well, it's just stupid. It's got too much
every single supporter
time.
base, I reckon 99% of their supporter base would be like, that's stupid. We don't support it. So you can't judge a whole supporter base based on the actions, the individual actions of one or two people. Like what Bevan said. Meanwhile, no talk about the 18-year-old Port Adelaide female fan king hit after the showdown by 2 male Crow supporters. There wasn't. I didn't hear anything about that. But if that happened, the emphasis shouldn't even be on 2 male Crow supporters hitting an 18-year-old Port Adelaide fan. It's 2 idiots did the wrong thing and they were evicted. Or whatever happened. It shouldn't matter if it's a Crow supporter or a Port supporter. If your actions are like that, you're an idiot, and ban them. Get rid of them. This stuff happens in Melbourne every single week. But it doesn't. The only difference, to Robbo, does it? It's the only difference is there's 6 games there versus 1. 6 games in Melbourne every week versus 1 in Adelaide. That's where the differences are. Is that it gets diluted that 2 blokes had a punch on who are neutral supporters at the MCG on a Friday night versus the one game which is the most hyped game of the season. 3 blokes had a fisticuff, and we want to attribute blame because that's the way Adelaide is we're very segregated. We're like, you support the Crows, we support Port Adelaide, and you got I think David and Will actually covered it really well on 5AA last week, which was about both parties want to sit there and point the finger at how bad the other people are, how bad the other supporter base is. That's what people want to do, is go, how feral are Crow supporters, look what they did. How feral are Port supporters, look what they did, instead of looking at it as a real social issue opposed to just propaganda about Port supporters are feral or Crow supporters are feral. It's actually a social issue
that's not isolated to football and not isolated to Port Adelaide or Adelaide.
But it's actually shit, though, because I'll be honest, sorry for interrupting, but I looked at that and I saw that fight and everyone's like, feral Port supporters. There was part of me that almost wanted someone to reply with this happened with the Crows incident. And, like, what's the point? The bottom line is you put alcohol in people, you have some idiot... Like, if someone walked into a shopping centre and shot it up and they're a Port supporter, that's not going to be reported. It's just, it was an idiot, an individual idiot who did something beyond stupid. I'm probably,
going a little bit extreme.
It shouldn't be about who they support. It's about there was an absolute idiot who did the wrong thing. Why do we have to focus on, like, if a Port supporter does something feral, why do we have to then go, well, yeah, now there was these Crow supporters that did the same thing? Of course there was. There's 53,000 people there. You're going to get some idiots. Deal with them accordingly, but don't judge them based on who they support.
But that's the thing. That's the biggest issue that we've got at the moment. Is people in the media in Melbourne and in Adelaide are basically saying, no longer are we just considered ferals, and I could take that. If you want to call me a feral, I don't care, because I know that I'm not a feral and what have you. But the issue that now is really starting to irritate me is that we're getting called racist ferals, and that's something that I can't tolerate. Like, I get really agitated about it, because that is so far from who I am and so far from who our football club is. We've got the most Indigenous players on the list at the moment. I think we've got 9 Indigenous players on our list at the moment, and like, we've got these fantastic Indigenous programs, which, as Portia did say, the Aboriginal programs are only interesting to non-racist. But pointing out racist angers everyone. Non-racists are outraged that a person is doing this, and racists get to feel persecuted. So, and she even made a comment as well that if Collingwood didn't have all the dollars, we'd be hearing about these stories to them all the time, like we used to. But they're getting, basically, Eddie is being able to control the media a lot, so it doesn't get stickers well now. So, but Collingwood supporters have still got a poor reputation. It just doesn't get reported in the media as much. So, but yeah, it's really disappointing that we're getting basically accused of being, like, not just ferals but racist ferals, because I'd say 90% of our, or hopefully more, of our supporter base aren't that way inclined. But there's racist people in all society, as we were saying earlier. But unfortunately, people make some comments and they're wearing Port Adelaide paraphernalia or supporter gear, and then it's reflecting on our club, and that's the unfortunate thing. But we don't.
The bottom line is,
yeah, go ahead.
That swastika thing, that shouldn't have been a media story at all, and it wouldn't have been a media story if he wasn't wearing a Port Adelaide Guernsey. It's ridiculous. Like, that never should. That's not a story. Like, a random drunk bloke on the street making a racist comment doesn't hit the news. Why? If that bloke was wearing a swastika without a Port Guernsey, it wouldn't have even hit the news. And I just think it was ridiculous. And, look, the thing that annoys me the most is, you might have some people who they want to go to a showdown or they want to go to a football game, and they're seeing this incident, like incidents with racism, incidents with fights. Now, I can tell you right now, where I was sitting, I saw none of that. I saw a bit of banter. I saw probably a slightly drunk, slightly inebriated Port and Crow supporter having a bit too heated banter, but nothing that, I wasn't able, you just walk away from. It's fine. They weren't punching each other. There was no swearing. It was a bit heated. But for the vast majority of people, you can go there and enjoy the game. Like,
that's going to the football. That's what happens in Melbourne every single week. Yeah. Like, we had, where we sit, like, we had a Crow supporter. Well, he's a typical corporate type. Have a crack at one stage during the day. And I just turned around to him and said, mate, you've gone too far. Enough's enough. And he went, I'm sorry, mate, just got carried away.
Yeah.
I really apologise. And we got on with it. And we shook hands at the end of the game. Like, that's going to the football, mate. Like, remember going to the old Port Norwood games back in the day, when you used to get 10, 15,000 at those games. You have people that sit there and argue because they're passionate about their football club. and that's actually okay.
But is that the issue now? Is the issue now that people aren't, you're not going to the SNFL game, like by and large, people aren't going to the SNFL games all the time, and a lot of the supporter base for the Crows and for Port aren't used to having
100%
opposition
totally
supporters
agree.
with them. So you're at a Port Nord game and you're having that banter, and at the end of the game you probably buy each other a beer or what. But at like a Port Crows game, because you're not used to that banter with opposition supporters, that it becomes a lot fierier than what it needs to be. And it should just be a bit of a laugh. Like at the end of the day, I've got mates. We've all got mates who are Crow supporters. Well, why is it when we go to a game, does it have to be like you hate someone and you want to punch them in the head because they support an opposition club and they're supporting their club? It's a ridiculous concept. It is a ridiculous concept, but I think it might be that people aren't.
And when there's a
Porsche saying, I think we've got dead air, so we've got a technical issue out.
Yep. Is it all sorted now, guys?
hello.
Is it me you're looking for? Are we back?
I believe we are.
Anyway.
That was the best 5 minutes of radio
Yeah,
we've done.
that's it.
Again.
We were on fire then.
You are.
We're back now. So I don't know where you guys were up to, but we're talking about whether I have people from other clubs behind us. Yep. Well, anyway, so I might be repeating myself, but yeah, the seats behind us, we've got Bevan. I'm going to continue to sing, mate. We do have people behind us. I actually reckon, Bevan, I reckon you're pretty close to our area because I sit with staff and everything. So anyway.
Yeah, cool story, bro.
Yeah, cool story for two of us. The general admission, seats behind us, and you get a bit of banter and it's fine. But I just, like I said, I don't get that whole concept of honestly, I think it's because the supporter bases aren't integrated. You're by yourself all the time, and when they hear other supporters support their club, and that's all they're doing, it becomes like almost a personal attack, and people get angry, which is a stupid concept because, like you said, growing up, watching SANFL, every week, you had that interaction, and it wasn't an issue. You got stuck into each other, but it was done in most cases with with jest. It was done with a sense of fun, and at the end of the day, you shook hands and you walked off.
But he also did that.
Malcolm's absolutely knob.
But he also did that every week, so you're accustomed to it.
Yeah.
And that's how football's played in Melbourne. Like, there's a lot of they don't even support the actual club, and there's more 50-50 split when you go to watch games in Melbourne, whereas we're just so segregated in a way, like it's a Port game or it's a Crows game. And then when we do have that combined kind of showdown atmosphere, we're so used to having free run of our stadium that we get a bit personal about it. But really, most places where there isn't a two-team town, it's everyday occurrence. So,
well,
I'm sure the GWS find that as well. Like,
I reckon it was a really good example. The Sydney game out that we were at, there was the lads in front of us. No, but seriously, they weren't doing anything. They had a few beers and they were getting, having a bit of a dig, but a very, very light-hearted dig. And security were coming up every 5 minutes.
Yep. Because
complaints were being made. Now, these people weren't swearing. There was nothing abusive. I had my 8-year-old lad, and my 3-year-old lad next to me. And if they were sitting there and, effing this, effing that, I would have had a word to them. But there was none of that. But they kept having security come up to them. And I think it's the same sort of concept. Like, Sydney fans, they're probably not used to that banter. They're probably used to just, we are the only supporter base here, and they don't. But that's part of footy. That's the fun part, where you can sit there and get stuck into each other and have a bit of fun. Crows fans, as a rule, though, are moronic. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Yes or no? It was dead
fair.
silence, man. I thought we got to that stage now with our shows that the silence thing has stopped. We're getting heaps better at it, but that was just crickets.
No.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
No, that's 100% fair. But I suppose this whole racism thing has been done to death. We've articulated our position in regards to it. We don't want it to happen. It's disappointing that people keep on referencing us to having a racist supporter group because of the actions of a few, and it's disappointing. But I suppose all we can do now is move on to the Carlton game, and I'm really nervous about that. Just how we're actually going to go, how we're going to bounce back with having Paddy back, and then how we're going to structure up differently with Paddy coming back, and then do we pull a couple of mids, or are we going too short or too tall? And with those changes that we said might happen this week, I think there'll be, I reckon, at least 2 changes, maybe 3, and I reckon we will get the win, but I'm not 100% confident just because we've lost.
You're so lucky you didn't say the chocolates there now. If you said the chocolates, you're going to, weren't you?
I was, and I pulled myself back from the word of chocolate.
Thank you. Thank you.
So.
Now, look, realistically, we should win, and we should win comfortably. I'd like to say I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not really. I think we're a better footy club. We're a better team, and I think we should. We're playing at home. As long as we don't get too far ahead of ourselves, I think we'll get a relatively comfortable win.
I'm pretty excited. What are you, mate?
It's just like last year just rings in your ears, doesn't it? You just worry. You just worry that we have those relapses. I guess the thing for me is that we learn from last week's mistakes. Kaz Bolt, while he can't kick, he can take a very good contested mark, and you just need him kick straight one week and he can tear you apart. So I just really hope that we learn at the selection table this week, and then we should be able to get over the line fairly comfortably, you would think.
I don't think we're the same club as last year. And, hopefully, I'm not proven wrong. But I don't look at us this season as being, I reckon we're going to lose games that I hope, potentially should have won. And we're going to lose games to better teams this year. But I honestly don't look at us as a team now that's getting too far ahead of themselves and, a little bit cocky, a little bit arrogant when we shouldn't really be, and losing those games that we really, really, really should win. And like I said, I hope I'm not proven wrong, but I think we are going to, by and large, beat the teams that we should beat this season. And I think Carlton is the team we should beat and beat comfortably, and I think we will.
That's my viewpoint, and hopefully we do come away with a win on the weekend, because it's like Friday night. We're able to show we're not competing with anybody. People are going to be watching our game, so I just want to put on a good performance, and it's on free-to-air television, so I get to watch it this week, which is great. So it's been
Well, you don't have Foxtel Hour.
No, I pulled the pin. I've got the AFL Live app, but I can watch it on my tablet, but it's only a 7-inch screen, so it's pretty shit, really. And I just pulled the pin.
Oh, if you want my Foxtel Go login, let me know, and you can watch it on your laptop.
You can't use it
on your laptop. Why?
You can't stream AFL games on the go. They turn it off during the game time.
No, you can. I do it all the time.
You watch AFL Live games on your laptop?
No, I do it through Foxtel Go all the time. They've got a different channel called Fox Plus, and it's on there, on Foxtel Go.
All right, we'll have a chat offline about that, but...
Yep.
Arba this weekend, this Friday, young Marchie?
Yes, sir.
We're trying to work out pre-drink venues, and we went to the R Bar last game. No, the R Bar.
Yep, at the old regattas.
Yep, that's the one. It was quite good, reasonably priced beers. Not going to smuggle it.
I've done the London. That was okay, but it's the London Tavern. The floors are sticky.
I told you the last time I was there, I haven't been back. Like, it was putrid. The toilets, people made stuff happen in those toilets that shouldn't have happened, and I almost did and never went back. I would go back. Look. The London's good if you just want to go and have some crap beer, cheap. You're laughing. But
I also did the Queen's Head.
Disease.
The Queen's Head wasn't too bad, but the problem was that they'd booked the whole place out. We got there really early.
Was that last weekend?
That was the showdown.
Because we went there as well, and it was packed. So we
got there like 3:30, and like there was no one in the place, but all the tables were booked.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what's the point?
I'm my 21st there.
People are booking the tables from 5:15, and the game starts at 7.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, mate, why bother? Anyway,
yeah, no, we got there. So we that's where we went to the R Bar from there, and that was awesome. That was really good. So if anyone's listening and wants to know a good place to have a drink, go there. And if you see me, feel free to buy me a beer, because I will.
I'm still shattered about the Game Day Village.
Yeah, it's stupid. Sure, I still want a listener to buy me a free beer though.
Bevan,
because then I feel like I've made.
What if I listen back to the podcast and buy you a beer? Does that count?
Al still owes me a beer. Eric. He's like, Dad, are you finished? Almost, buddy. Mum should be looking after you right now.
That's right.
I just she just stuck her middle finger up at me, which is a bit rude. I thought she was a lovely young lass, but apparently not.
Oh, dear.
Well,
Parenting 101, you've got your child still awake at 9 p.m.
That's right. That's all good, my friend. You'll organise that with your young fella, but that probably sounds like an opportunity for us to pull the pin on this week.
Sounds good.
And Bevan said if it'll shut you up, he'll buy you a beer.
Yes, thank you, Bevan.
And Ryan said if he sees you at the game, he'll buy you one as well. So it sounds
so once Phil gets his beers this week, I'm going to start my campaign next week.
Could I just ask you guys a favour? Just if you could come up to me and go, massive fan of your show, guy, Phil. Like, yeah, you're awesome and stuff. Shake my hand and stuff, and then my wife will think I'm pretty damn cool. And
I don't think that'll ever happen, my friend.
Come on, man.
She knows you too well.
I'll give you guys the money to buy me the beer. Just like my wife will just turn around and go, woo! Look at my husband.
And Phil will even put photos of you on our Twitter account.
Yes, there you go.
And guys, if you want to hear more Port Adelaide greatness, still keep tuning in to Port Fan Radio, because the next instalment of Port Fan Radio will be happening right after this with Macca and Portia. She's quite excited about the upcoming draft, and it's going to be an interesting podcast and show from Macca and Portia on the big
like an actual professional show with people who actually put research
phenomenal.
in. They know their football, unlike our little drunk ramblings. And Ryan, I'm in Bay 139, my friend. 139 in the front row. Row A.
I'm in Bay 331 this year, so if anyone's looking for me, I'm in the corporate seats.
Oh, look at you, mate.
All fancy
and stuff.
He has like a mohawk that's flicked back. That's Marchie, so that's the way he rolls. So.
And I'm the guy with the cool hair.
And the tough.
No, I'll wear a hat with a football.
Okay. No worries then, ladies.
All right, guys.
Thank you very much. Enjoy, and keep tuning in to Port Fan Radio for the show just after this. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. See ya.
Bye.